up for sale if you want them.
Hello there, only one Kenobi here, only one. Let me just pan around here first and foremost. All four walls in here are covered in vintage collection cards. And this is a video entitled, well, Falling from Grace. And I think one of the victims of repacks, reissues of vintage collection figures has got to be the TIE Fighter pilot. Once upon a time, this was a really expensive card back. I remember in 2017 when I was wrapping up the vintage collection. By then I didn't have as many variants as I have now, but it was at the point when I was basically considering the collection complete if I had all the numbers, and I think I hadn't got a normal VC65. What I did have for many years was this one here. That's the first one I ever got. As you can see, that's a Canadian variant. So I was quite keen on getting a single pill, and I did buy it off a guy who back then was selling his collection. In fact, I met him. He lives, wasn't far from me where I live. So there you go. There's the story there. But the problem is that on eBay, I noticed that he couldn't even sell for £25, the original one. Granted, it was punched, whereas these are unpunched. But I just think that the value of these are dwindling. And that's because people have got the other options now of getting hold of one, which is this TIE Fighter pilot here. This is the one that was reissued in 2020. 2021, scratch that. And if you were a collector starting the vintage collection, what are you going to go for? Are you going to go for the more expensive one here? Or are you going to start with that? Well, obviously you're going to start with this. That's the thing. It's only when you get into it more and more that people will seek out the variants. Like myself here, I like to get all multiple variants and have them in a row. And I even, last year, 12 months ago, I endeavoured to get this. I think this was something I just thought was awesome because it's the Return of the Jedi one. And that brings me to the other point of VC65. It kind of annoys me that we never got it on the Empire Strikes Back variant card back, as it should be. If I go down here, you will see this VOTC R2D2 here. And this always used to annoy me. This goes back many years, but it's a tip of the hat by Hasbro to how this card back would have existed. When the Return of the Jedi came out, they would have recycled images from Empire and New Hope and put the Return of the Jedi badge on it. Hell, there were loads of New Hope card back images that had Return of the Jedi on. Even Farm Boy Luke, he never looked like that in Return of the Jedi. But you get my point. But at the minute, this has now come out now. They've now done the R2 sensor scope with 3PO on Hoth with Empire Strikes Back. And for many years, I always used to say what they need to do is the Empire, because that is an Empire Strikes Back image. They need to do this card back photograph with an Empire Strikes Back image. Now, had they done that for this, which is the VC65 reissue from 2021, maybe it would have protected the value of these. I just don't know. Maybe these have gone up more in value because they're kind of rarer variants. But the fact that I saw one selling for £25 plus postage is nothing. And that is not the only example. Just before I leave you, I will talk about a couple of other variants that have also taken a hit. The Imperial Royal Guard, which cost me £50 back in 2016. Back then, he was one of the most expensive card backs. Now, he has definitely gone down in value. I know the Blacked Out Ewoks picked up an unpunched original variant for about £19 or something. That's because this is floating around in the market and it has lost the appeal, the value that it used to have. In fact, I blame the Imperial Royal Guard for the reason I never got hold of an unpunched Cody. I ummed and I erred. I'm going to do a video on that as well. An unpunched Cody that was sat for £50 3 years ago. I never bought it, and it now goes for under £1,000 because I couldn't justify spending £50 on it. Back then, he, in my mind and in the mind of many, had less value than the Imperial Royal Guard. Now look at the state of affairs. He has dropped it from grace, fallen from grace, and Cody is the one that has rocketed, but I'm going to leave that for a separate video. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Shea Vissler. I paid £80 for Shea Vissler in 2017. At that point, it was the most expensive figure I'd ever bought. And I didn't think the vintage collection would ever go over that. Maybe 100 and whatever. There were scalpers even then. In fact, I actually negotiated this off 100. But she and Ahsoka and many other carbacks, the original Ahsoka, which is down there, she is also going to go down, man. She already has, because people can find the alternative. And the other thing that worries me about Shea Vissler, well, that doesn't worry me, but it's just like a return on your investment. The reissue is in Punch now, so it's like, really? Would anybody really go out of their way to get the original print of this from 2012? Most likely not. Unless you were a die-hard avid variant hunter. In fact, if I show you this again, you'll see that this does have the character debut sticker. That is appealing for some people. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. It's just a little bit of an off-the-cuff video. Very interesting observation to see the value declining on certain items. And then it also begs the question, why didn't they ever give you the proper badge for things like reissues? Going to Luke, Endor, Bespin, things like this. That should have been done on the alternative Luke blue background looking card back, for example, just to give the whole line some variancy. Let me know your thoughts. I have been only one Kenobi. Only one. Out.